Celtic beat Rangers 1-0 at Ibrox thanks to a stunner from Kyogo. The win means that Celtic now are unbeaten this season since Brendan returned to the club. I'm glad to say that Brendan... Hold on a minute. We lost in the League Cup, didn't we?
You did.
Ah, yes, so in the Premier League.
Yes, in the league.
I'm delighted to say that Brendan joins us now. Brendan, a very good morning.
Brendan, good morning.
Good morning, lads.
Always good to get the first one in the bag, Brendan.
I'm just a wee bit worried for Ali now that if they start taking tickets off the home supporters, he might not get in.
Oh, he was whinging about the referee and the goal disallowed. Honestly, there was pure contact there.
Brendan, I've got to be quite frank with you, mate. I thought it was a bang average game, to tell you the truth.
Do you know what? To be fair, they sometimes and normally are, Ali. It's the atmosphere and everything, isn't it?
That would be one of my first questions to you, Brendan. Does your team talk slightly change in any way, shape or form due to the fact that you boys did not have any support in the stadium at all?
Well, I think when you go away from home in these types of games anyway, Ali, as you know, you have to try and quieten the home support. Yep. Like the stadium was bouncing obviously before the game and start it, but I always think that when you go to Ibrox in particular, you have to control the game and control the ball, and we were able to do that in the first half, and very quickly got a nice little rhythm in the game. So, and that can always change the temperature in the ground.
You mentioned the first half, Brendan. I'm watching it. I've got to say, first half particular, I thought Callum McGregor was excellent.
Always on the
absolutely
ball.
Excellent.
Aye, he's absolutely brilliant player, Ali. He's one that obviously my first time here, I've seen him grow and develop and really come to the fore here, and he's continued with that. And then he's obviously as the captain of the club, he's a wonderful speaker. He's a great ambassador for the club, and but his football that was the Callum McGregor I know. He was right in the thick of it. He can control the game. Brilliant footballer, very intelligent, and he got the game going for us in the first half.
Brendan, I was just thinking of from a supporter's point of view now, what a group this is, Group E. Trips to Rotterdam, to Madrid, to Rome. It is just magic for the Celtic supporters, this group. Yeah,
it's what it's about, isn't it? You obviously the football challenge of the Champions League is huge, but it's great that the supporters are going to go to some fantastic cities, and as you know, they'll go in their numbers, and it'll be great. But
it's going to be tough, but they're all tough, aren't they?
Well,
Champions League.
That's what I was going to ask you, Brent. How do you think, and it's a difficult one to predict right now, but how do you think you're placed? Because I looked at Rangers last season, did exceptionally well to get to the group stages, obviously a good result against PSV, but then after that were clearly out their depth and outclassed in many of the games against top class opposition. How do you think you boys are placed this year?
Well, listen, it's always going to be a challenge for the Scottish teams in there. You know, we know the numbers now involved economically for teams in other, you know, the strongest leagues. But I think what you want to be is, and you want to show your supporters that you're competitive and that you can go and compete, and that's what we'll aim to do. The group gives us a fighting chance, but there's no doubt that, you know, the teams that are in there are very good sides in their own right. It's why they're there, and but we aim to be competitive there.
Do you know what? From a kid at a real early age, those European nights at Parkhead or at Ibrox were fantastic, Ali, weren't they?
Amazing.
Brendan, they were
special.
To die for. They were just magic. They were.
Well, it's the atmosphere up here. It's absolutely incredible, Alan. I've been lucky enough to be involved in Liverpool Man United games in both grounds, and Liverpool and Everton games, and those are big games. They're intense, but there's nothing like this. There's nothing like the Celtic Rangers games, for one, and then the atmosphere that the teams create up here. And I know I can only really speak for Celtic and the European games, in particular the Champions League. The home games are absolutely incredible. The noise once the flag starts to roll is just incredible. So I can't wait for that.
Bren, I keep saying it, but we need more money from television revenues in Scotland and the Premier League in Scotland. You just look to see what happened to Hibs, Hearts, to Aberdeen, Rangers out to PSV, who looked a good side. But, you know, it's ridiculous, the difference that what the Premier in England gets, which you know all about, and what Scotland gets. Yeah,
it's night and day difference, Al. You know, I come into here and I I see, with the greatest respect, some of the wages that the boys are on, and I obviously know the levels down in England, and it's frightening, really. It's frightening. But listen,
Ali's the highest paid man in Scotland. Ali is.
Listen, he's top man, Ali, so he deserves it.
Brendan, before I want to ask you about one of your ex-players, before James Maddison. But before I go on to ask you about James, just tell me, are you back into the swing of things straight away, into the West of Scotland life, family, people looking after you? Are you back into it immediately? Did it take you long to readapt? I'm going to ask you.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so.
It was a big part of it, Ali, coming up to here. The family loved it. And actual fact, this time I'm going to enjoy more of Scotland. I think that when I was up here the first time, I loved it. I moved away. But probably I took it for granted a wee bit, if I'm honest. So for example, now in the international break, I've a couple of days away up in the Highlands, and
brilliant,
and just really, really enjoy the life here, because it's an incredible life. Glasgow's an amazing city, and settled in really quickly.
It's stunning up there, particularly up the Highlands, up in Sutherland, things like that. Now, on to that question I was going to ask you, Brent, are you surprised at all at the quality that Maddison has shown at Spurs? Because I've watched a few of the Spurs games. I'm pretty positive you'll have seen a few of the highlights of them yourself. We all knew that you had a great player there at Leicester. No real surprise to you that he seems to have kicked on since his move.
No, not at all. I think there's two aspects. One, he's really developed James. When I first went to Leicester, he had things that he had to work on, but his talent was clear. And what people, when they know him well, he really, really loves the game.
Yeah,
James, he loves football. His personality is fantastic, but he's a top level player. So I'm absolutely delighted for him. And also going into Tottenham, we Angie's an attacking coach, and James suits an attacking style. He has to have a manager that will attack the game, and obviously that'll be a great fit for him. And Tottenham as a club, it's a club that's steeped in history of really good football. So he'll fit perfectly into that, and I can't speak highly enough of him as a young guy, amazing, and as a footballer, he's one of the top players in the Premier League.
Yeah, Bren, just one or two players. We keep talking about Saudi and players going over there. Is there any chance that they can, you could have prized one or two away up to Glasgow to play for Celtic, or even if Rangers done that, or is the money just crazy over in Saudi that it's impossible? We just can't match it, can we?
Yeah, no. There's no chance. You can't match it in the Premier League, so you're never going to match the Saudi money. But it's definitely something that makes players wobble for sure, because of the money that is talked about, and what it can do for not just players and their families, but the legacy that they can create for their families for years down the line. So it's definitely something. I think the thing that makes it dangerous is, and I only know because I actually spoke to a club in Saudi when I left Leicester and was thinking of maybe taking a year out of respect. I spoke to a team a couple of times. I think the big thing that they have is what makes them dangerous is, of course, they have the money, but they have a plan there.
Yeah,
and the plan is on course in terms of attracting top players and looking to get top managers out there.
So this may be different to China, for instance.
That's what I said, Brendan. I said that early on in the show. There was a couple of years back we thought China were going to make a push for it and do this and do that and do the next thing, but I think this looks as though it's the real deal in Saudi, in the respect that you've just mentioned. There's a serious plan to take top players, top managers, with a view probably to get in the World Cup. Yeah,
but and even bigger than that as well, Ali, what you've got is the infrastructure they're looking to improve in terms of facilities. I think also, see, bringing these top players, like if you think of Ronaldo and everything and how he looks after his body, and he was the first big one to go there. I think what they're looking at in life in general, that these players that are super fit guys, super professional, can help people in health and life. Mm-hmm. And that's also a part of the plan, that it makes Saudi there in terms of health and wellness for people better. So it's not just purely the money; it's the overall plan that they have.
Absolutely. I must admit, I was surprised. But Jordan's he's come out and said now, Brendan, that if someone had made an effort to keep him at Liverpool, stay at Liverpool, he'd have stayed. So, do you know what I mean? You got to take his word for it. It wasn't all about the dosh, all about the money. He would have stayed.
I think sometimes one of the things, Brendan, it's potentially worrying people with a top flight down here is they look as though now they're going to try and prize players who aren't necessarily at the end of their career.
Salah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, and that's clearly the challenge, isn't it? Listen, we love the game, we love football, and we're all fortunate enough to work in the profession and have been in it or around it. But for these young guys, it's a profession, it's their life. And it's so they have to do what's best for them. I think we have, as you guys know only too well, and you hear it a lot more than me and the radio and stuff. But obviously the challenge is there's so many morality officers around the world nowadays that are judging people. But Jordan, I know extremely well, and I know that the love he had for Liverpool and has and will always have for Liverpool. But he was at the stage of his career where he probably wasn't going to be the first name on the team sheet anymore. 32 years of age, he's won absolutely everything.
Yeah,
and probably has fancied a different challenge, and probably out of respect, didn't probably feel right for him to be at another Premier League club. So to go abroad and take on a new challenge clearly suited him.
Brendan, great start to the season. Enjoy Champions League. It's going to be a great ride, and we look forward to speaking to you again. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Great to talk, Brendan. All the best, mate.
You too, guys. I might see you about up here, Ali, if you're around.
Sounds great.
So it'll be good to see you.
Smashing, Brendan. All the best. Thank you.
Brendan Rodgers there.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.